Hello, my name is Amy Herrera, and if you're watching this video, it's probably because I have your student in my geometry class. So I'm going to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about myself and then go right into what a geometry class looks like. So on the screen right here, I have my name, and then I have my email address down here and my phone number. I am always available if you want to email me or give me a phone call. I'm usually really quick to respond. A little bit about myself. I've been here at North for 5 years and I teach geometry and honors algebra 2. Before that, I was a manager at Target and at a buyer at Office Max, and then I made a big career switch and now I'm a teacher and I've never looked back, although this year has proved to be really interesting so far. I've been married to my husband for 11 years, and he is a teacher and administrator in a different district, not in this one. There is another Mr. Herrera, but that's not my husband. Um, and then we have two kids. Reed is 7 and just started first grade. He's doing a hybrid model through Caneland, and then we have a 2-year-old. Moving over to geometry and what that looks like. To go through this, I am going to move over to our Google Classroom. And although this says second period on it, the sixth period and eighth period ones look just the same. I'm just going to use this one as an example. Everything that your student would need is basically going to be through Google Classroom. On the classwork page, I've got it sectioned out by your main class information. We've got the Unit 1 materials, and we'll continue adding Unit 2 and so on, other things that are needed as we go. So I try to keep it as organized as possible, just because I know that the students are trying to keep themselves as organized as possible with so many different classes. So under the class information section, I do have the class syllabus here. And I did go over this with students at the beginning of the year, but this is always here in case it needs to be referred back to. And it's got my contact information on it if that's needed. Our units of study are here, what we're going to be going through in each unit, and then materials. Now, I did go through this with the students, and so far I haven't noticed issues, but I want to touch on the important things here. There is a geometry textbook. It's mostly going to be used for extra support. But I mean, a lot of the work that we use does come out of it. So I don't plan on ever referencing it directly or saying go to page 25 and do these problems. We provide everything to the students that they would need to do. It's really important, the second bullet point, that students have a calculator. A scientific calculator, at least. It has to be able to do sine, cosine, and tangent, and those have little buttons on them that say sine, cosine, tangent. If you're in the market for a new calculator because your student doesn't have one, I would recommend a graphing calculator, TI-83 or TI-84, because in Algebra 2, these are going to be required. You must have a graphing calculator. They do cost a bit more money, so keep that in mind. But if that's not something you can do right now, a scientific calculator will work for geometry. Graph paper will be very useful, lined notebook paper for note taking, possibly a compass for second semester. This is still something that we're kind of thinking through, and we just have to kind of wait and see what happens with the school year, but that might possibly be something not until second semester that we would need. Pencils, erasers, a folder, dry erase markers, and that would be about it. Down here for our grades, the grading scale is pretty typical of all classes. How the grade is calculated, there's a lot of emphasis placed on assessments here. Individual tests are 50%, quizzes are 30%, but these are higher percentages because basically they are open note quizzes. We can't prevent students from using notes or anything like that, and at this point I would generally encourage it. So that is something to keep in mind, that those are pretty impactful. And then we have homework, which is done in our ALEX system, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then classwork, which is usually work that we're doing in class. It's pretty easy points to get. Moving down here, class participation expectations. I hope that students be on time so that they're not missing anything. This generally hasn't been an issue so far. Visual presentation, I like to see students on camera, but I understand that technology sometimes hinders that. But generally during assessments, when I'm taking attendance or if I'm specifically requesting it, I like students to be on camera. Communication, I ask that students stay muted to eliminate distractions in the class, unless we're doing some kind of activity that involves speaking or anything like that. Kind of skipping around here, being prepared, making sure that Google Classroom is easily accessible because that's where everything is posted is important. Having a pencil, paper, and calculator available. And then some students like to use headphones, but maybe those are nice if there are other distractions in the environment. Our learning management systems, I'm hoping to switch over to Zoom eventually, but we don't have that available yet. So right now we are using Google Meet, which has been working fine. Google Classroom is where I push out all of the information that we would need for class. We are going to be using that a little bit for some assessments, answer keys, things like that are all pushed out through Google Classroom. And then Alex is what we're using for homework, for review. We have been using it for assessments and we'll probably continue to do so on some level. But those are our three main systems that we are using right now for geometry. As far as extra help goes, I'm available Tuesday through Friday from 7:20 to 8:15 a.m. These are called my office hours. I like to have students let me know if they'd like to come, and I can easily send the Google Meet link out, and then we'll just meet over Google Meet. But that's super easy to do. I'm very open, very flexible with that. And then I've got some other times throughout the day that I'm available as well. Basically, all you or the student has to do is reach out to me and let me know, and I'm happy to figure out a time that will work for both of us so that we can get students some help that they need. Switching over real quick, I want to talk just a little bit about Alex because I know I just mentioned that. This is Alex. It's ALEKS, not an X in there. This is the system that we're using for homework. This is where the homework assignments are going to be from class to class. Usually each class brings with it an assignment that is done through Alex. And then this is also what we're using to kind of cover those gaps that may have come up in learning between last year and this year, especially with that remote learning that kind of took place in an emergency fashion in the spring. So this also has like a learning path type of thing that we're going to be working through as well. Switching back over then to Google Classroom. I went over virtual expectations. That was in the syllabus as well. Our Google Meet link is posted in here in case students forget it or don't have it or something like that. Geometry agenda slides, these are also available in here. So this tells students what we're doing in a day, maybe what we did in a different day. This was our first day, what we did, but all of the dates are in here as well as what we did on those dates, what the homework was. So if students are wondering, like, I don't remember what my homework was, or if you're wondering and you want them to check, this is a really good place to go check the agenda. I always try to, or I always do keep these up to date so that students have a place to refer back to. Alex logins, the website is on here, and then usernames are on there. If students are having issues with Alex, I would just encourage them to email me because I can pull up all usernames and passwords and communicate those if needed. And then last thing that I want to share here is for each unit, there will be a unit calendar and it is updated as we go. So this calendar just tells what we're going to be doing on specific days. It also gives an idea of when assessments are going to be happening, and the homework is listed on here as well. So this is going to be really useful. Again, another useful tool if students are trying to plan out or figure out what was the homework, what will the homework be, or any of those things. This will always be updated, and there will be one for every unit. Okay, so I think that that's about it. That's what I wanted to share with you. If you've got any questions, again, here's my contact information. I will get back to you as soon as possible, and I look forward to having a good school year this year.